Druski's latest satirical skit is sparking major backlash across US social media, not because it isn't funny, but because it feels too real. In the video, he directly parodies scenes from certain megachurches. Dressed in Christian Dior and Christian Louboutin, the character justifies the luxury by saying, "I walk in the blood of Jesus." In one moment, the on-screen pastor announces a goal of raising $4 million, then bluntly adds, "No one is leaving until we hit it. Amen." As soon as the skit dropped, some Christians and pastors erupted in anger. Druski was accused of mocking faith, disrespecting God, and attacking Christianity itself. One comment quickly rose to the top. Pastors are not Jesus. What's being exposed is a reality you don't want to face. Druski didn't apologize. He didn't delete the video. Instead, he left the question exactly where it landed. If you feel offended, is it because faith was attacked? Or because the truth hit too close to home? What do you think? Druski, is this crossing the line? Or is he speaking out the things that many people dare not say?
Watch this. He's speaking facts.
You want to see something messed up? This is the food that's usually at most church events. And this is the food that God tells us to eat. We've got so many people in our congregations and visiting our church events that are struggling with sugar addictions, food addictions, diabetes, high blood pressure, and they're not going home to healthy diets. We have plenty of alcoholics that are visiting our churches, but we don't offer alcohol at church. Why is it that we offer so much junk food at all of our events? Why not splurge a little bit on the healthier items, the fruits, the vegetables, the things that people need to be eating, so that when they come to church, at least they're getting something there that their body needs, that promotes life, not the same stuff that they've been eating all throughout the week that's killing them. We got to do better.
This guy is speaking facts. I don't know about you, but I was convicted by that.
Was Druski right? Some members of the Black community are really upset about his parody of prosperity gospel ministers who have their over-the-top approaches to leading their flock every week. And maybe they have a point, or maybe Druski has the bigger point. But nonetheless, why are people more upset about what a comedian did more than they're upset about what the churches are doing, serving death on a plate every week? I'm Rosemarie Havsom. I'm back again to let you know that you can take full control of your life, but it's what you choose to put at the end of your fork. So let's get into it. Druski, who found his audience on social media and then did not look back. He has been absolutely on point with a lot of his comedy. But unfortunately, when it comes to mega churches, and especially Black churches, especially prosperity gospel churches, we have a problem. And the problem is that a lot of people did not like the parody that Druski identified and performed. They thought it was a bit over the top, but was it really? I mean, he was literally note for note echoing what was going on in the churches anyway, down to his designer shoes. It's just amazing to see how a comedian can take satire and parody to a whole new level, that it outrages some people, but it also raises the interest of what is really going on in these prosperity ministry churches. How are people not more offended by the fact that lunch that's being served at church every week is the equivalent of type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and obesity? Why aren't people offended about that? Because, we can't touch food, right? Food is too important. There is a myth going around that as long as you pray over something, then that miraculously takes care of the poor health that's going to become as a result of eating it. Unfortunately, for those people who believe that way, that's not the case. Now, there have been miracles and there are outliers. We're not even going to go into that. But what we're looking at is, why are people, Black people, okay with eating unhealthy food in a place that's supposed to be for their spiritual edification? It seems as if there's a dichotomy between spiritual and physical health. And especially in church settings. Why is that? Why is it that everything is okay except for when it comes to touching what people eat? There are so many misinformed people trying to promote the idea that whatever you pray over is okay. Come on, we've got to get real. The food that's going on right now in the United States, the food industry is out to get everybody. And if you don't look sharp, you're going to be taken in by it as well. Now, when we look at the fact that over 70% of all food in the United States is ultra processed, if we're looking at ultra processed foods as being one of the greater majority of the food that people are eating in the United States, we've got a problem, because it's gotten to the point where people don't even recognize what real food is anymore. And that goes for even church settings, where the focus should be on physical edification as well as spiritual. Everything is tied together. We're not just meat bags walking around in different types of clothing. We are a mind, a body, and a spirit. We are 3 in 1. I'm going to leave that right there. If we don't take care of our health, then nothing is going to miraculously transform us. Now, if you want to, you can argue about it as much as you want, but the fact remains that the majority of Black churches are serving unhealthy foods every week. But there seems to be no issues about that. But we're offended when somebody touches on issues that are showing up, which is prosperity more important than community? Is prosperity more important than working with people and caring about people and having empathy for people? We're not trying to say that people shouldn't be prosperous. I mean, the Bible itself says that, right? So we don't even have to go there. But what we are saying is that sometimes things have to be put into the right perspective. And sometimes, a lot of times, we're seeing manipulation of these prosperity ministers over their churchgoers, over their members, because it's about helping people, not helping the minister become wealthy. And unfortunately, we're seeing this more and more and more. But what we're not hearing a lot about is what is the food that's being served at lunchtime doing to the health of the church goers. And that is where we need to start looking at the reality of how Black people's health in the United States is not even protected in their own environments, especially in a church setting. Why is that? And why is it that people are so offended when being instructed and advised and given information about healthier food choices that are so unwilling to change? We talk about so many things about how food is for fuel and food is very important. It's also a cultural thing. But when people are looking at a comedian and his parody of something that actually happened at a mega church environment, there's something wrong with that picture. Did you know that in order for the brain to function effectively and for you to have your mind power, you need to have a clear frontal lobe? And the front part of your brain is where all of your decision making happens. It's where you have thoughts about good, bad, right, wrong, empathy towards others, and all of the things that make us human. And when you cloud that up with ultra-processed foods, with soda instead of water, with weed instead of fresh air, with alcohol instead of water, then we're going to have problems because you're clouding the way that you think. And we're being lulled into a false sense of security, thinking that as long as I've got my spiritual health, then my physical health will follow. No. As a matter of fact, some of the most unhealthy people who are from the Black community in the United States are attending churches regularly. And some of the most faithful people that attend church. So how do we have that dichotomy? How do we have that contrast where people don't want to hear about healthy food and healthy lifestyle when it actually can help promote the best kind of humanity and the best kind of empathy where people work together and love one another? This is the love month, and people are so caught up with romantic love that people overlook the fact that brotherly love is equally as important. Love for your one another, your neighbors, is really important. So why can't we get to the stage where food reflects the love that we have for one another? It has to be more than just cultural. And it has to be more than just assuming that a prayer can take care of all of the ills that you're serving to people. Did you know that the amount of salt that people are eating at one church meal could be the equivalent of an entire day's worth of salt intake? What is that doing for high blood pressure? And who was taking the statistics for the level of sickness amongst Black people in churches in the United States? Who's making those numbers and looking at that research? What we do know is that the church reflects the community at large, and the community at large is still showing that Black women are 60% obese, and Black men are hovering at 41% of all Black men are obese. When we look at the general population of our white counterparts, and 42% of them are obese. So what does that say? What it says is that we need to find a safe place where people can actually become healthy mentally, physically, and spiritually. And maybe Druski touched on a point that people didn't want to hear, which is that the emphasis is on the wrong thing. We're following too many of these prosperity gospel ministers as if they're rock stars and superstars. We're not trying to take away from anyone's success. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that there needs to be a balance between who people are going to see each week at church and what they're going there to eat. There has to be a balance because we're not helping our one another to win the battle of overweight and obesity, of high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and high cholesterol. These are preventable illnesses that the church and the church body at large needs to really look at if we're looking at people who are supposed to be elevating to another level of consciousness. Maybe what we should do is look at people like Druski who bring some of these issues to light about what's really going on in the prosperity gospel ministry and what really needs to be the emphasis for the community at large that is worshiping in these structures. What do you think? Do you think that Druski was completely disrespectful? Or do you think he was actually touching on something that churchgoers have known for a long time? That there's a lot going on that's not necessarily by the book and not something that is supposed to be happening inside the church communities. When it comes to food, food should have a better place and a higher expectation for goodness and healthfulness within the church community and for church lunch. What do you think? Put it in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Remember too that I have a YouTube channel that's Havsom, spelled H-A-V for Victor, S-O-M for mother. We'll continue the conversation there. To your good health. Bye-bye.